The basketball teams that we follow around the world are American. Okay? This second beast is the first beast's lackey. You know, whether it knows that or not, it may be doing it for its own reasons, but it forms this alliance with that first beast of Revelation 13. There's this mistaken belief that joining church and state, which was never the idea of the originators of the United States. They wanted to keep that very separate. Protect your rights. Protect freedom from government interference. But there's this mistaken belief that's coming back that the joining of the two is a good thing. That's the problem sometimes when you have Christians in government who think that a little bit of enforcing this or that, surely it will be a good thing. No, not at all. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. A lamb-like nation that America began as is going to turn dragon-like. Almost unbelievable. But I shared with you, and you may have read places as well, how tales of torture in American prisons in the name of, suppressing fundamentalism. It's just on terrorists. We don't do it to our own people. Yeah. We looked at the laws they already have on their books. Sunday laws. We saw that. Okay, so here we are, of course, wanting to know what the mark of the beast is. What's it all about? One of the most important and solemn subjects in the Bible. The whole of the Bible. Now this passage in Revelation 14 and verse 9, that carries on from the last presentation that we had, where it ended, and we were talking about the second beast, what it did to enforce a mark on the people. All people, wasn't it? Around the world, and what God will do. This warning, Revelation 14:9, probably the most fearful warning in all the Bible. See what you think. This is the third angel of 3 in Revelation 14. And it says in a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Just want to point out here, this tormenting, it doesn't say how long it is, okay? Another study that I would be happy to do with you is about that event. We don't believe as a church that the torment is an everlasting, ongoing torment, okay? I just want to put that out to you. But here God is saying, clearly warning people that, and figuratively in a cup called his cup of indignation, which is full of his wrath, that is going to be, it's going to be made to people who have the mark of the beast are going to get to drink full strength of that cup. That's a warning, isn't it? That's a solemn, serious thing to be considered, isn't it? And avoided. And you might be tempted to say, oh, no. God's not like that. He's a God of love. I said the other night, a few nights back, the main characteristic, the fundamental characteristic of God is that he is love. Let me just go on a bit with that though. God gives warning and correction because he is love. Have a think about this. He loves sinners, but he hates sin with a vengeance. Think of it if you were a parent, a good parent. You know, we often think of what it's like for the sinner without thinking of what it's like for God. Can you imagine God and his angels? They have labored for a long, long time up to this point where God's wrath is poured out, trying to see you saved, trying to do everything they can to make sure you are standing with them on that last day, not in that fire. Can you imagine what it'd be like for Jesus when he sees that everything he's done for you, hanging on a cross, has been for nothing? Can you imagine that anguish, sadness, pain, sorrow for him and the angels in heaven? Now, if you come back to the illustration of an earthly parent, a good and loving parent who loves their child, quick to say what they love about them because they love them so strongly, would it follow that what they hate, if that would jeopardize the life of their child, they would hate very strongly? Would that make sense? It would, wouldn't it? You would hate something that was going to hurt and take away the life of your child. And yet we're very quick to sympathize with the person that has had the choice, the chance, the opportunity to hear, to know, to understand, and to act on everything that Jesus has given them in the way of opportunity to respond, to be on his side, to choose to be in that heavenly kingdom with him. We're very quick to side with the poor sinner instead of our Saviour. Just think about that for a minute. It's worth thinking about. It would make sense that we would want to know how to avoid this mark of the beast, wouldn't it? How to avoid it. And we'd want to know, just what it is. How can we avoid it? What are some of the theories that are around about what the mark of the beast is? Microchips, barcodes. What are some of the ones you've heard? Now, everyone has a interesting idea of what the mark of the beast is all about. Some people think that it's an invisible tattoo, lasered tattoo that you can see only through electronic means. Some people think, it's a microchip. It's going to be injected sometime surreptitiously into you, into your hand or your head. What else? A new currency. The barcode. The universal product code. Tattooed to your head. Okay? The tattooed name of the Antichrist on the forehead. Because of course they have to be Jewish. Well, look, tonight, folks, I want to tell you, technology has nothing to do with who the mark of the beast and what it is, what the mark of the beast is. It's got to do with worship. All right. As we've been studying the prophecies of Daniel in conjunction with the book of Revelation, Notice the last chapter of Daniel, how it describes these last days. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. A terrible time coming. That's not very encouraging, is it? A terrible time coming. As the devil works to bring about the mark of the beast, things are not going to get better. We've had some inkling of that through reading Revelation 13, haven't we? Let's start, though, with what God is doing. It's always good to know what God's doing. It encourages us, rather than starting with the negative, and, it can be discouraging. And we want to see what God is doing. Let's have a look at what He's doing here. Who are the survivors of this terrible time of trouble that Daniel has alerted us to, that Revelation 13 has been telling us about? Who are they? And is there something that they get as a reward? It's nice to come through something and to know at the outset that there's something really good at the end that's going to reward you, affirm you, that is going to make it all worth it. Well, there is. There is, folks. Have a look at this. And I saw something like a sea of glass mingled with fire, and those who have the victory over the beast, over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. Now, I'm not sure if you're into harp playing. Just substitute whatever musical instrument you like there, but they're having a good time. And there's something about this that tells us they had the victory over the beast. They are also pictured in heaven. When you see, and this is John's best description, and I don't know if you've seen one of those disco lighted floors that are translucent and they light up, and he's saying it's a sea of glass and it's got lights like fire in it. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? But it's wow, it's great. We're going to be in this location, having had the victory, and we are going to have the reward of heaven. However long we are in this terrible time of trouble, and I don't think it's going to be that long, folks, there is a reward, though, at the end. This is the crux. How is it that those mentioned have the victory over the beast and his mark? That's what we want to know, isn't it? They got it. How do you get it is what I want to know. Do you buy it? Do you pay for it? Where can you get this victory over the beast and his mark? Let's have a little look a bit closer. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he says, "Do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads." They have the seal of God on their foreheads. It doesn't tell us how they got it, but they needed that. They needed the seal of God. So now we know something about a seal of God. You've already heard about a mark.